Our global society runs on a knife's edge. It's a complex system of trade, communication, and technology, so interconnected that we tell ourselves it's too big to fail. But what if we were wrong? 3,000 years ago, another unbreakable globalized world did fail. Suddenly, violently, almost completely. Kingdoms fell like dominoes, and one of history's greatest mysteries was born. How did it all fall apart at once? We've tasked an advanced AI with running the simulation to uncover what really happened, and the results are terrifying. Before the end, there was a golden age. Around 1300 BCE, the Eastern Mediterranean wasn't a patchwork of isolated kingdoms, but a vibrant, interconnected world. At its heart were the great powers, a club of great powers, as scholars call it, whose kings called each other brother in their diplomatic letters. These weren't isolated entities, but a network of political relationships managed through constant exchanges of luxury goods and official correspondence. This intensive internationalism fostered a shared style of art and technology across the region, reinforcing the impression of a stable, coherent system. In what's now Greece, the Mycenaeans reigned supreme from their fortified citadels like Mycenae and Tiryns. Their palace complexes, built with walls so massive later Greeks thought only the mythical Cyclopes could have raised them, were centers of a redistribution economy. With no currency or market, the palace administration controlled the production, collection, and redistribution of virtually all goods, land, and labor within its territory. This system, documented in meticulous detail on Linear B clay tablets, was an engine of prosperity, but it was also profoundly fragile. To the east, in modern-day Turkey, was the Hittite Empire. They were a fearsome military power with its capital at the massive city of Hattusa. The Hittites were innovators in warfare. While they didn't invent the chariot, they perfected it, pioneering the use of a lighter, two-wheeled chariot with a six-spoke wheel. This crucial innovation made their vehicles faster and more maneuverable than the eight-spoke chariots used by their rivals, including the Egyptians. This gave them a deadly edge in battles like the colossal clash at Kadesh, which ultimately led to one of history's first known peace treaties. And then there was Egypt itself, the eternal kingdom on the Nile. During its New Kingdom period, Egypt was at the absolute height of its power. Pharaohs like Ramesses the Great commanded immense armies and staggering wealth. Egypt was the region's breadbasket, and its grain shipments were a cornerstone of international stability. The Egyptian civilization, which had only recently ended centuries of foreign rule, had embarked on an era of expansionist conquests that made it a Mediterranean superpower. These civilizations were bound together by a complex web of trade built on interdependence. To make bronze, you need two things: copper, which was plentiful on Cyprus, and tin, which was dangerously rare. For decades, scholars believed tin came from as far away as Afghanistan, but now we know the truth is even more stunning. This one vital resource tied the fates of these mighty empires together. A disruption anywhere in the chain could spell disaster for everyone. Luxury goods, ideas, and technologies flowed constantly between them, creating a truly globalized economy. The most stunning discovery about this ancient world is the origin of its most vital resource, tin. New scientific analysis of tin ingots found on the Uluburun shipwreck, a trading vessel that sank off the coast of Turkey around 1300 BCE, has proven that a significant portion of this tin came from Cornwall and Devon in Britain. This powerful fact demonstrates that the late Bronze Age trade network was not merely regional, it was a truly global system, connecting the civilized world of the Near East to the raw material sources of Western Europe. This vast interdependence, built on a single vital resource, meant a disruption anywhere in the chain, from a mine in Britain to a port in Syria, could send a catastrophic shockwave through the entire system. Then around 1200 BCE, this world burned. In the span of a single generation, kingdoms fell like dominoes. The great Mycenaean palaces were destroyed and abandoned. The mighty Hittite Empire vanished. Cities across the Levant were turned to rubble. Even Egypt, though it survived, was badly wounded. In many places, writing itself disappeared, plunging the Aegean into a dark age that would last for centuries. For over a century, the prime suspect has been a mysterious group of invaders known as the Sea Peoples. But here's what historians got wrong. The traditional image of the Sea Peoples as a faceless, marauding army is based on inscriptions from Pharaoh Ramesses III in Egypt. But the reliefs at Medinet Habu show not only warriors, but also women and children in ox carts. This suggests they were a migratory population, not a simple army of conquest. A recent translation of a Ramesses inscription even states their lands had been devastated. This profound detail indicates that they were not merely invaders, but were likely victims of a larger, region-wide catastrophe. The Sea Peoples were a symptom of the collapse, not its sole cause. The AI shows this pattern repeating. We have a real letter found in the ruins of the great trading port of Ugarit, from its last king pleading for help. "My father, behold, the enemy's ships came here. My cities were burned. May my father know it. The 7 ships of the enemy that came here have inflicted much damage upon us." That help never came. Ugarit was annihilated. The archaeology of the site confirms the sudden, violent destruction with layers of ash and rubble. To find the real cause, we have to look deeper. We added new variables to the simulation. The first, climate. Scientific evidence from a range of sources, including pollen trapped in ancient lake beds and oxygen isotope records from caves in Israel and Greece, tells the same consistent story. Around 1250 BCE, the eastern Mediterranean was slammed by a severe multi-century megadrought. This is not merely a theory, it is grounded in hard data. This evidence has never been shown before. The simulation shows the immediate and catastrophic results of this megadrought. With widespread crop failures, the Mycenaean palace economy, built to collect and redistribute food, shatters. With no surplus to collect, the king's central function, feeding his people, becomes impossible. This hollowing out of the palaces from within means the ruling class loses its legitimacy fast. A society built on redistribution crumbles when there is nothing left to distribute. The next variable we added was seismic data. Geophysicist Amos Noor proposed a compelling theory that a series of major earthquakes, what he termed an earthquake storm, rocked the region in quick succession over a 50-year period. Wait until you see what happens next. The archaeological evidence is indeed chilling. At sites across the Aegean and Anatolia, excavators have found toppled walls, collapsed buildings, and even crushed human skeletons in layers of rubble. At Megiddo, for example, the discovery of crushed remains points to seismic activity. New geophysical research adds a crucial layer of complexity to this narrative. Modeling suggests that the great Mycenaean citadels, built on solid bedrock, were actually more resilient to seismic damage than the surrounding lower town settlements. The true impact of the quakes, therefore, was not the immediate toppling of the palaces, but the destruction of the civilian infrastructure, the ports, roads, and homes that supported them. They might have been safe within their walls, but their world was crumbling around them. The final, and perhaps most devastating factor, was internal rebellion. The social contract was predicated on the elite's ability to provide security and sustenance. With the land parched by drought and infrastructure shattered by quakes, the ruling class could do neither. The documents from the New Kingdom of Egypt, known as the Tomb Robbery Papyri, provide a stark glimpse into a society losing control, recording official trials for the widespread looting of royal tombs. This was a symptom of a society in chaos. The AI has shown us the individual pieces of the disaster. Now, it was time to put them all together. The simulation shows that it wasn't one thing that destroyed their world. The true horror is how a megadrought, an earthquake storm, social breakdown, and the sea peoples combined to create a cascading systemic failure. It's a tragic story of a complex system being dangerously fragile. The AI's final simulation is terrifying to watch. The drought takes hold and agricultural output plummets. Then, earthquakes hit, shattering infrastructure and crippling ports. The king's authority collapses as he can no longer feed his people. Internal unrest makes the city critically vulnerable. Now, the intricate trade network supplying the world with tin and copper starts to break down. Without tin, you can't make new bronze. The technological basis of their entire civilization is failing. The AI shows the trade routes, once glowing arteries of commerce, flickering out. This is their version of our oil supply being cut off. With every major power weakened from within, the sea peoples, themselves a mix of desperate migrants and opportunistic raiders, find a world that's ripe for the picking. They don't arrive in a strong, stable world. They attack a civilization that's already on its knees. Within a single generation, the lights went out across the eastern Mediterranean. This final detail will change everything. The story of the Bronze Age collapse isn't just ancient history. It's a chilling, powerful warning for our own interconnected world. For over 3,000 years, humanity did not build another global system as complex and interdependent. But now we have. Just as the Bronze Age empires relied on the fragile trade of tin and copper, our modern world is built upon equally vulnerable global supply chains. A recent geopolitical conflict in the Middle East caused shipping rates for supertankers to more than double in a matter of days. The Bronze Age collapse will always be a mystery, but by modeling the complex dynamics at play, we can see the outline of the ghost. We see that it wasn't one thing that destroyed their world, but a fatal convergence of factors. It's a profound warning that complexity is not the same as resilience. To learn more about this fascinating era, we recommend the following. Books: 1177 BC, The Year Civilization Collapsed by Eric H. Klein, The End of the Bronze Age by Robert Drews, and The Kingdom of the Hittites by Trevor Bryce. Visit the incredible archaeological sites of Mycenae and Tiryns in Greece to see the Cyclopean walls for yourself. If you were as fascinated as we are by this deep dive into history, be sure to subscribe for more. Your support helps us bring these ancient mysteries back to life and find the hidden connections that still matter today. Thank you for watching.